We're looking at Leopold Vista, and what it is wilderness. Actually, it's the first wilderness area set aside in the United States, and probably therefore the entire world. 1887, 1948, forester and wildlife manager, someone to read about. Leopold saw the need to protect the wildlands he enjoyed and valued. Wilderness to Leopold was an area still wild enough and big enough to travel on horseback for 2 weeks without crossing any roads or seeing any other signs of human development. He found that this Gila National Forest was such an area, or contained such an area, and convinced the Forest Service to set aside 755,000 acres for that purpose, under that designation. One of the relatively few examples of one person accomplishing great things. Leopold once wrote, "Wilderness areas are first of all a series of sanctuaries for the primitive arts of wilderness travel. I suppose some will wish to debate whether it is important to keep these primitive arts alive. I shall not debate it. Either you know it in your bones, or you are very, very old." Leopold. I don't know that very many people come to this simple but very pretty and new picnic area with this beautiful view of Leopold's wilderness area, but nevertheless it is a great monument to him, but more so, of course, the wilderness. Southeast of Silver City on Route 180, branching off into Route 61, is the state park called City of Rocks. And it's a collection of what remains, I'm sure, of a rock formation that was fractured horizontally in probably a crisscross or a grid formation, and then eroded over time by water, wind, and so forth. But some very fantastical shapes, very pretty place. A little wonderland of passageways and hallways and rocks to clamber over for kids and adults. You can see that it's a weather-pocked sandstone that wears pretty easily these curved surfaces worn by not only wind and rain, but the sand that the wind blows and that the water carries in it when it tumbles down between rocks like here. Primary use, in addition to generating a certain amount of aesthetic awe because of the shapes you encounter and the great playground it is for all of us, but it's a great destination place for families and others with their campers and picnickers for the day. Here under this hollowed out rock, perhaps almost designed by the gods for the purpose, someone has built a pretend fireplace. Fortunately, they're not crass enough to use it for that purpose, just have created it for its allusion to the Indians who might have lived here on occasion as they were passing through this flat land. Otherwise, it's probably not more than about a mile square, if it's that much. You can see what a lovely setting it is for families and their campers. These lovely, intimate little spots. You can just imagine Native American families in the last 1,000 years or more using this as a stopping off point in the desert. Perhaps there's even water somewhere nearby, or at certain seasons there was. Of course, when the rains come, there are these little tingas, T-I-N-J-A, little depressions that fill up with water for both animal and man. Interestingly enough, I can wander about here and almost feel like I've got the place to myself, even though at the slightly lower elevations off this hill is where all, of course, the campers are located. But what a playground for kids. And it's just fun for me to wander through here. You can see that passageways like this were the result of some kind of vertical crack fault, if you will, as was this. Very similar to these things in the original day. You can also see that they fill up a little bit with water. Here a little bit more of an overview of probably half of this total square area. And the rather rolling-bearing desert plains beyond, and the mountains way in the background, rimming us almost completely. See how in the rains at different points in time, this area here would all fill up with water. Just imagine playing hide and go seek in a place like this. Too much fun. Particularly when you got the energy and the agility to scramble up and over these rocks. You can just imagine the wind and the rain and the sand howling through this narrow corridor, this slot, if you will, hollowing it out over time. As the pieces erode, they totally erode underneath sometimes and tumble over like this one's done, scattering its remnants downhill. I was here a long fault crack, hollowed out over time. I'm just wandering as one is compelled to do here. Of course, the sand blows enough dirt and nutrient in here that occasionally trees grow. But it looks like fire might have got that one over there. What's lovely here, you don't appreciate till you've just come back from Asia, is you see very little trash, if any. In Asia, everything here would be littered with trash. I have to wonder how many cowboy movies were shot here. And underfoot as I go back to my van are the scraps of older formations long ago fully eroded away. The main body of stones is over there. You can see some satellite area there. Pretty much small ones, it looks like. And here's another satellite area. And these almost standing, at least from a distance, like separate monoliths, and they're like hoodoos with a cap on it. We'll wander through just for the fun of it. Notice the crow on top of that rock. So many such formations, we see things in them. Like that looks like a chair, almost a hooked form. Here, this on top looks like a crow and another crow. Oh my gosh, they really are. There are picnic tables surrounded by these large monolithic structures. I would guess also that the Native Americans might have left petroglyphs on these stones that have long ago worn away. Lovely place to camp. Pretty little spot to camp. A nicely designed facility. Hillsboro was established when gold was discovered in 1877, the first of several mining communities to spring up in the Black Range as word of gold and silver strikes spread. Since it was located in the heart of the Apache country, conflict was inevitable. The Apache struck back with a vengeance. Much blood on both sides was shed. Skirmishes and attacks with miners on outlying claims intensified in 1879 during what has been called Victorio's War. In one action, 10 Hillsboro citizens were lured and killed near Lake Valley. Reasonably authentic old town as I cruise up the main drag in one direction, and I'll turn around and come back this way. Trying to make a little coin off of tourism. Store and cafe. Pretty little homes here. This is the town as you approach it from Kingston direction. Now I'll just leave the camera on so you can see what I see. Turn right onto 27th, going south. Well, there's Monument Peak, of course, no big surprise there. And here is Lake Valley. And we'll get a little closer look with the telephoto. Of course, like all ghost towns, a lot of the land we're looking at would have been covered by buildings. I mean, the land close to those buildings. I'm traveling south, which is behind me, down Route 27. I just thought I'd pan this New Mexico countryside. Beautiful in a strange, eerie way to ride through. Frightening to imagine living out here on a long-term basis. Towns. Places like this, I often wonder what cowboys 100 years ago would have thought of this. Off this birthland. abyss in the distance. What would they have thought? After several hours in the saddle riding towards that, maybe their mind would have flashed on some picture in a one-room grade school they saw of windmills in Holland. But why out here?